Yo, 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 yo. Thank you for tuning in to video 18.2, talking about equations with rational numbers. So we're mainly going to focus on equations that have fractions in them. So rational numbers include fractions, decimals, whole numbers, integers, but I want to focus more on fractions, a little bit on decimals, because decimals I feel as if we don't have too many issues with our process. The process of solving equations with decimals is the exact same. With fractions, though, fractions people don't really like. And because of that, I want to show you guys a trick that I think you're going to, might take a second to understand, but it's a way to eliminate all fractions in an equation. So here's my first equation. I need to solve 7/10 n plus 3 over 2 equals 3/5 n plus 2. So the problem with this fraction is, the problem with this is I have three different fractions in one equation, and none of them have a common denominator. So what I'm going to do is I am going to figure out what the greatest common, what the common denominator is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that number to get rid of every single fraction. And here's how I'm going to do that. So if I look between 10, 2, and 5, my common denominator is 10. So I can multiply 2 by 5, I can multiply 5 by 5. Now, with equations, what we've learned so far is that you can manipulate equations kind of however you want. We multiply things, we divide things on both sides, we subtract them, we add. So when I multiply or subtract or I add or I divide, I always do it on both sides of the equal sign. Well, I can do that right now. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm allowed to kind of do whatever I want, as long as I do it on both sides of the equal sign, I am going to multiply this entire equation, every single term in this equation, by the common denominator, which is 10. So if I multiply everything in this by 10, so let's multiply every piece by 10. No shortcuts here. Everything has to be multiplied by 10. That's because then I'm maintaining that equality. If I multiply everything by 10, I'm not actually changing anything. I'm just making it look a little bit different. And I did it on both sides of the equal sign. Now by doing this, if I cross simplify, these cancel, and I'm left with 7n. 2 and 2 and 10 becomes 1 and 5 when I cross simplify. And then I have to do 5 times 3, which is 15. So that's 15 over 1. The denominator canceled. If I do 5 and 10 and I cross simplify over here, that becomes 1 and 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Keep my n. The n doesn't go away. And then 2 times 10 is 20. The fractions are all gone. By finding the common denominator and multiplying everything by it, I get rid of all the fractions because that common denominator is going to cross simplify with every single one of my denominators. And I'm done. I'm sorry, I'm not done, but I'm done with the fraction part. This equation right here, when I solve this one, it's the exact same answer I would get when I solve this one, assuming that I multiplied by 10, right? But it's going to give me the exact same answer. Okay, what I did is I multiplied everything by 10 to get rid of the fractions, but now when I solve, it's not going to change anything else. So now I can go ahead and follow my normal steps of solving equations. So it's just going to give me 1n plus 15, let's draw this line, equals 20. And now I can subtract 15 from both sides. And I get n equals 5. So if I wanted to, I could plug in 5 right now, and I could solve. And I can check my work, and I assure you that it is correct. So I'm all done. Okay, so you will have some word problems as well. Now this one does have decimals. I think you guys would be just fine solving this one, but we'll go over it. And then we'll do another one with fractions, and I'm going to want you to try that one on your own. So Javier walks from his house to the zoo at a constant rate. After walking 0.75 miles, he meets his brother, so I know this is going to matter. He meets his brother Raul, and they continue walking at the same constant rate. So he's going at a speed. We don't know what his rate is. When they arrive at the zoo, Javier has walked for half an hour, and Raul has walked for 0.2 hours. What is the rate in miles per hour which the brothers walked at a zoo? So, Javier is walking 0.7 miles before he meets his brother. So this is in the beginning. Okay? Then he meets his brother and they continue walking at the same constant rate. When they arrive at the zoo, Javier has walked for half an hour and Raul has walked for 0.2 hours. So Javier walked this extra 0.7 miles. And then he walked, let's see here. I'm getting confused here, sorry with the names. Javier walked for 0.5 hours. Okay, so he also walked for a total of 0.5 hours. And Raul walked for 0.2 hours. I'm getting confused here. I'm confusing myself. Oh, okay, I got it. So, because Javier, if I just look at how far Javier walked, I'm going to go back a little bit. If I looked at just where Javier walked a total of half an hour. That was his total amount of distance he walked. So he walked half an hour, and we don't know his rate or his speed. Okay, so I would multiply the amount of time he walked by his speed, and that would tell me how far he went. Okay, so this is all for Javier. Well, Raul walked for the 0.2 hours at a certain rate, but we also got to account for that extra 0.75 miles. Okay, that he didn't walk, that Javier walked. So this is going to be equal to this because Javier already walked this 0.75 miles, and then he walked this with his brother. So that's why this one was a little bit tricky. This one was a little bit different. It took me a second one looking at it. So, but there's our equation. That's the point. That's the main thing I want to get from this right now. And then now we can solve. Now the big one for this one is I do have to subtract 0.2x. If I subtracted 0.5x, I'd have 0 over here, which is okay, but then I'd have to move something else over. So it's a little bit more work. So we want to subtract the 0.2x. And then I can go ahead and divide by 0.3. Cancel. Now, for the sake of time, since you guys don't need to see me do a bunch of division on here, I'm using my calculator to get 2.5. I should have known that one in my head. And that was their rate. They were walking 2.5 miles per hour. Okay, let's go back to fractions. I'll do this first one, and then I want you guys to try number 4. So for this first one right here, can't make it bigger, it's okay. For this first one right here, I'm looking at my fractions. We could keep the fractions, it's fine, it doesn't really matter. If you're comfortable with using fractions, keep them. If you don't want to use fractions, get rid of them. If you use them, fine. I mean, these ones have a common denominator, so it might not be a huge deal to keep them. But I'm still going to get rid of them because I just don't like fractions. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to multiply by the common denominator, which is 7. So I'm going to multiply by 7, by 7, by 7, by 7. So I'm left with 1k minus 42, because 7 times negative 6 is 42, equals 3k. These cross simplify, so I'm left with just a 3 in the numerator. 3 times k plus 28. And now from here I can just simplify like I always do. I'm down to a two-step equation now. Let's see, this is going to give me negative 70 equals 2k. So I divide by 2, I get negative 35. Okay, try the second one, number 4. Try that one on your own, please. And then I really want you to try it on your own and try doing it by getting rid of the fractions and just see how you do. If you mess up, it's okay. We'll give it a shot. I'll make this one bigger. Okay, so hopefully you should already have an answer. Now, I'm looking for a common denominator between 2, 4, and 6. If I multiply everything by 6, it would get rid of the 1/2 and it'd get rid of the 5/6 and make these into whole numbers, but it would not make this 1/4 into a whole number. So 6 is not the common denominator. So looking at denominator, now I gotta look at, okay, well, what are multiples of 6 that are also factors of 2 and 4, that I can also are also multiples of 2 and 4, and it'd be 12. So I want to multiply everything by 12. And when I multiply, it doesn't matter which one you really put in parentheses. You can do it like that. There we go. So let's see, now I can cross simplify. That gives me 10y. 1 times 12 is 12. This becomes 6. That's negative 1 times 6 is negative 6y plus 3. So that's what your equation should have become from doing all your cross simplifying. And then from here, I can solve. So now I can add 6y to both sides. I'm left with 16y plus 12 equals 3. Subtract 12 from both sides. 16y equals negative 9. And then when I divide by 16, that's fine. I get y equals negative 9 over 16. Can't simplify that. I'm done. And you can leave it as a fraction. Fractions are okay. All right. That's all I got for you. So, things to remember. I would put something about multiplying by the common denominator. And that would get rid of fractions. But multiply everything by a common denominator. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. Grid Diaz out.